Will you welcome Walter Becker and Donald Fagen, who are Steely Dan? Okay. How do you like that? Since you fellows never face your public, this proves people are listening. Say hello so we know you're here.
That's a hell of a round of applause for just guys sitting here.
Well, this is quite a tour. I guess this is the most you'll feel of it. And, well, the roadies, the hotels, and everything. Gee, it's all taken care of right here in one little ball.
You got a hell of a band.
I know. Hey, how do you guys buck the system that way? Well, I mean, I don't understand.
We fired all the roadies, and we just said we couldn't go. How can we go? We can't
you have no roadies.
These things.
No organization.
There's no organization.
No,
They've been trying. The Holiday Inns weren't booked.
Right.
You know, the proper things in the rider weren't. There weren't 2 cases of wild turkey.
Right,
and 8 sets of cousins, you know. When's the last time Steely Dan did tour?
Well, our last show was July 4th, 1974, was it?
That's right.
And a good show it was.
July.
We were getting really good by then. And we decided to quit while we were ahead.
Where was that? July 4th, 74?
It was Santa Monica Civic Auditorium near the beach there. You know, they have a nice
74 was Pathologic?
Do you
think of it that way?
Yeah,
I think
it was during.
Yeah.
I remember hearing the promos as you drive into town from the airport, you know.
Yeah. If I may sketch just a silly parallel between Steely Dan and myself in that I think we enjoy what we do on our own terms. I think I get a kick out of your career just watching that part. You really are doing it basically in your own terms, meaning you take the time you need to make what you think is the best you can do and avoid the things that appeal to you less. Does that make any sense?
It sure does. It makes a lot more sense than what we were doing before that, which was doing it on someone else's terms. You know? And I think anybody would do that in any situation, given the chance. But for some reason in rock and roll, you're expected to go out and entertain. It's really, you feel more like an entertainer or a performer than a... No.
No, we're not really performing. You know, I think we used to throw up a lot. You know, before the show, it was messy and it was odoriferous. It's much better this way.
Well, in other words, you don't like to go on there and twirl your guitar and have a laser effect or wear makeup like Kiss.
No, we gave away the smoke bombs, and June 4th, 1974 was the last smoke bomb I saw go off.
That wasn't even that was the Doobie Brothers smoke bomb.
That's right, it was Mike McDonald's personal smoke bomb.
That band used to blow up every night. Everything would blow up. The next day, there it was, perfect. It was great. I never understood. You know?
Never broke your instruments like Townsend and Entwistle?
No, I almost broke my knee once trying to break my instrument. Pure frustration. One time I did kick over an amplifier because of unsatisfactory failure to modulate amplitude on the part of the guitar player next to me. A big Marshall amp, and it was like so loud that I just... I had to stop it.
You had to stop it. Yeah.
And he kept playing, you know, and I was like, nothing there. And I looked around.
Yeah, you were testy that night.
Yeah, well, it was a tough night. It was in Houston, you know. And so what did he do? He kicked my amplifier over. We were both there, you know.
Houston's a perfect place for that.
Yeah.
I guess that performing and recording are just two distinct and separate things, aren't they?
Unless you record while you're performing or... Perform while you're recording.
You've not done that.
We have done that.
You have done some. Which one was live?
Well, none of them actually. Yeah. But the single that's being released from this album will have...
Gaucho is the new album.
Yes, right. And the single will be
Hey 19.
Hey 19, and on the flip side of that will be a live recording of Bodhisattva from
June 3rd, 1974.
Right. Exactly.
Which was our penultimate performance.
That's right.
July 4th was the last performance.
July 5th was the last performance. We had July 4th off.
Is that true?
Yeah.
How on earth did you have hit records with abstract lyrics and
technical terms?
excellent relationships with disc jockeys, right? Took them out.
Yes.
And took them to Broadway shows and wined and dined them.
Personally, we did that.
We did.
That is the biggest mystery of all.
True. We just took Cal Rudman to see Annie. The wonderful
Cal Rudman, for those of you listening, he's a kind of, he has a sheet, as they say. It comes out of southern Jersey. Paul Simon, in his new movie, One Trick Pony, kind of satirizes Cal Rudman. Supposedly he's powerful in the record business. And my first comedy album, Child of the 50s, in 1973, it took me there, and it's good. The kid's got style. You know, I mean, one of those things.
Well, that's me.
Yeah, right.
That's all right. We can eliminate. Don't worry about it.
And that was
this is radio, man. This isn't the Merv Griffin show. You know what I'm talking about? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Now, that was a good scene in that movie, I thought, where he has to play in front of a record executive.
Oh, yeah.
Keeps answering the phone during the song. We used to have experiences like that.
Did something occur to you when you're taking a shower? You see, I don't... And wait a minute. I have to delve... It's hilarious to analyze lyrics and stuff. But I don't even know if I have it here, but there was some wonderful interviewer who said, well, obviously I can figure out such and such in their lyrics as a parable for Puerto Rican immigrants. But I'm still trying to figure out what a monkey girl does all night in Denver, or one of those. This guy won't give up, will he?
They take it very...
That guy wouldn't give up, no.
They take it very seriously, you know. It's like a major breakthrough if they can interpret a particular line, you know.
Incidentally, in fact, I don't want to patronize them, but I believe it was from the curriculum of one of America's finest music schools. I'll even mention it. I think it's Berkeley. Is that in Boston?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Are you aware, gentlemen, that you are the subject of a songwriting class in that institution?
No.
No, this is news to us.
Well, you are. And I'm calling the principal, Mr. Dugan, right now. See if you guys could pass your own test.
There was a piano teacher there. He was a very good jazz pianist, and I remember I had a course with him, and he had to leave. He got a good gig, and he was supposed to have a series of lessons he was supposed to give that over a period of 3 or 4 months, but at the last moment he decided the gig was more important, and so in one day he gave a 3-month lesson, you know, and he was sitting there saying, now the function of the half diminished chord, he went through all of musical history in 3 hours. And
a lot of this is purely subjective. For example, I actually thought this was kind of funny, and again, I don't want to patronize, but it's Steely Dan's The Royal Scam provides an excellent example of the rhyme's contribution to exposing the real form of a song. The finest musicians available. If you look at the latest record, you'll see there are different drummers on most of the cuts, and each person used for what they can do best. How dare you use such excellence? In addition, it accuses
a pretty penny too. I'd like to say
you. Now wait a minute. It also accuses you are low-profile professionals, quietly avoiding media personality mongering. I think that's an outrage.
Sounds like the mafia or something.
No, you sound too perfect that way. You've avoided media personality mongering, and really, I don't respect you for that.
On the sidewalk.
That's why we're here, Bob. To avoid media personality.
To avoid media. Is there anyone else, to your knowledge, who approaches the recordings the way you do, that you just choose the personnel? I mean,
yes, it's actually common practice.
Is it really?
Well,
I know Paul Simon does it,
yeah,
but
Paul Simon does exactly.
He goes by the name of an individual artist. You know, if you were Fagan and Becker, or pardon me, Becker and
well, groups like the Mamas and Papas, you know, are obviously not a self-contained musical unit, so they did the same thing that we did, and a lot of groups that were ostensibly self-contained, like the Beatles, did the same thing we did. We did it when we were ostensibly self-contained group.
Yeah.
To see how, you know.
Clearly there's no trade-off, though. I mean, it's not like, gee, you guys are strangers and haven't played together. Everyone seems to sound so good.
No, it works very well, because the people that you hire to come in and make your record, that's the very thing they do for a living. And so, sounds good.
That's a good way of looking at
it.
Would you say that performing live in front of people is something that you still haven't changed your attitude pretty much about? The fact that people would like to see you very much, and I would want that Steely Dan audience would be among the most behaved in rock. Very little chance of a disaster.
Well, things have changed, if that's the case. I remember some pretty rowdy audiences. Basically, our attitude's still about the same. Neither of us like the life on the road, the traveling and so on. And since we don't have a band at this time, it would be very difficult to perform because...
You could get one of those attachments they have with the accordions.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You could have one of those things that they have at the weddings.
And, it's too expensive.
True. You could rent it, though. Yeah.
Amortize it over a period of 18 months, something like that.
Installment plan.
Yeah.
20 on the installment plan.
I think we're getting the idea here. This is...
If you know a word like amortize, okay, I may as well get off the boat here. You know what the hell.
Hey, whoa.
But how about
a few more of those later? We're going to give you structuralism and things like that.
Structuralism. You also used bodacious. I looked it up in 2-3 dictionaries. It doesn't exist.
No, you must know what bodacious.
No, but I do know in a slang way, but in the gaucho. The discography is heavy. I have it in front of me here. The latest one is Gaucho. I'll hold up to the microphone so you can see. As usual, a terrific cover. But what I count here to be, 8 albums? 9 albums?
I don't know how many you got.
20.
Enough.
Steely Dan. The discography is like, could weigh down...
See, if we put them out every 3 months, our career would have been over in January of 1972.
Well, if you were Frank Zappa, you would have done that. A 16-album set.
That's true. That's true.
Gary Katz has been your producer throughout, though. Throughout all this... Forever. There has been some change, of course, in Steely Dan. People like Michael McDonald and some others had once been members. And yet, Gary Katz has remained throughout. I consider that extremely unusual in the music business. I think you'll have to admit.
He wouldn't leave. He refused.
Gary, it's been too long. Can you take a hint? Don't talk to Gary. Hello, Bill. Hello, Terry. Gary. Didn't take a hint. The guy wouldn't take a hint, right? But could he pull dials? Forget it. Is it true on Gaucho an engineer erased some important tracks?
Not an engineer. Not anymore.
He's working on the Santa Fe now.
That's right.
That must have been embarrassing.
Busboy.
I'm sorry, fellas. 5 weeks of work. Careless rain.
Something like that happened, yeah.
That's something I've actually had dreams about.
I know, it's the worst thing that happened. The worst thing happened.
How much work did it involve?
It was complete.
Hope he and his family are listening now. Let's jeer him.
He really was embarrassed, too.
Oh, I'm sure he was.
His face was red.
Oh, beets red.
Oh, that's awful. But I don't know, you can't tell. It sounds splendid.
That cut's not on the record, though, Robert. Who knows that?
Woof. You'd never know it. You'd never know it. He must have been a bodacious son of a gun. The guy must have been just bodacious as anything. Gee. So, no touring, huh? Gee.
Last time we tried, we found that we had made it so thoroughly impractical that we couldn't even rig it up if we wanted to.
What, you mean in terms of taking things with you?
Well, in other words, it would have taken 6 months to rehearse a band to do a month's worth of concerts, and even then it wouldn't have been what you expect to see at a concert, which is like a band that has been playing together for some amount of time. That there's a time element. You just can't have guys reading music on stage.
See, I speculated this without ever having spoken to you before I even delved into lots of statements you've made in the press or something, that you simply didn't think you could get it the way you wanted it.
Well, simply a matter, a lot of, I guess most popular artists, it's just a matter, of course, to go out and recreate their records. It's not like jazz. It's not an improvisational form, really, to any great extent.
Yeah. And
we're just not interested in really reinterpreting or recreating every night what's on a record. We're to keep ourselves interested. We need new music, and it's just not that exciting to us.
This is better.
You almost toured with Angel. What happened with that?
Well, as I say, we started. We had a couple of rehearsals, and there was.
Tell me about the escalating pay scale. I thought
there was a Well, we figured out who we wanted to go out on the road with us, and these are mostly studio musicians, right? And everybody said, well, okay, I'd love to do it, but, I'm going to miss a lot of dates, and I have to have X dollars a night, right? Everybody got what they wanted. First rehearsal with 3 people there, they all found out that they were getting different amounts, right? So one of the keyboard section, it was a keyboard section rehearsal, started to, there was some unionizing going on,
Right.
And suddenly we felt like,
one guy got
lawyers,
up on a table and with a sign.
Yeah,
like Norma Ray,
Steely Dan, unfair.
So one of the guys said, I'm not going to do this for $600 a night, and the other guy said, well,
they brought
I left the room,